Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dr. Anuj, a first year internal medicine resident at GMC Nagpur, and finally I've got a video about what's in my day-to-day carry bag as a first year resident. Now life in first year is kind of crazy if you really ask me. You are living in the hospital for most of your time. If you're posted in something like an ICU, your duty ranges from around 12 to 16 hours, and if you're posted in the ward, it's 24 hours. So needless to say, your bag is the most important asset that you can have, and over the last 4.5 months of being a resident, I have perfected my bag. I'm very proud to say this, but initially I literally had to have like 3 bags when I went to the hospital and 3 bags coming out of it. So yeah, let me just show you exactly what is in my bag. This is my bag. It is something which I got from Amazon, I think, or मैंने यहीं से खरीदा, I don't remember. But this is a very generic bag which I have been using since I was a final year medical student. So you might have seen this in older videos as well. Let's see what's inside it. Actually, you know what? Before I get into the bag, let me show you what is everything outside of it. First thing comes up to be this stethoscope. Now this is one of my dream stethoscopes. I bought it after I have cracked my NEET PG and joined my residency, and this is the Littmann stethoscope for auscultation. This costs around 9,000 rupees on Amazon, and trust me when I say this, बहुत ही सुंदर आवाज है. Every auscultation sound that you're gonna get is top notch. So the use of the stethoscope is crucial. Every day we use it on hundreds of patients. BP लेने से लेके तो heart sound check करने तक, lungs को auscultate करने से लेके तो bowel sound check करने के लिए, everything, everywhere you need a stethoscope. Without this, you are an incomplete doctor. So in residency, having a good stethoscope makes you catch things a bit earlier and makes you more skilled. So I invested in one and got myself a Littmann. So yes, this is the first thing. The next thing I've always got on me is a pulse oximeter. So what this does is that it also has my initials on it. I've lost like 3 pulse oxes so far. The thing is, it's very easily stealable. So basically you put your finger inside and it shows you what is your oxygen concentration in your blood and also what is your pulse. So this is very useful on a day-to-day basis. Every day I use it on hundreds of people. And if you're a resident, I would suggest you Choice Med. It's a great brand. It's what everybody uses over here. No paid promotion in this video. But the thing is, pulse oximeter can be very, very dirty at times. But the thing is, after using it on several people, I don't like touching it often because it has been into so many hands that have not been washed since many days of the people that have been admitted in the ICU or the ward. So this is kind of sus. So I don't usually touch it if I don't have to. It's always in my pocket, and without it, I am not going anywhere. It is as essential as a stethoscope, especially if you're a medicine resident. Without this, you don't know what you're going to do. And therefore, it is the one thing which gets stolen the most. The next thing you might recognize are glucose strips. So in medicine, the vitals are PBP, SpO2, RBS, and urine output. So RBS is one of the very essential things that we take on a day-to-day basis. We monitor the patients of diabetes and also non-diabetic people and treat them on the basis of their blood sugar levels. Especially in an ICU setting where people who are admitted for prolonged periods of time undergo a lot of hypoglycemia, you need to have an RBS probe of your own. So this is also mine in order to take blood sugars quickly. And the beautiful thing about blood sugar is that if it's a case of hypoglycemia and if it's acute, it's very, very treatable. I've seen patients who have come up to the casualty with RBS of 35, 25, and they have recovered successfully after you've given them injections of D25. So yeah, very essential glucometer. So with these 3 things, I always am ready to check every patient I get. But there's one last thing which is missing, and that's where we enter the bag. So yes, let's start from the main section that is in between. मेरा डब्बा है यार, मैं भूल गया था मेरा डब्बा है आज. Okay, चलो खा लेंगे होने के बाद. On rare occasions I do have food, but sometimes when I am working in a night shift, I am working night shift at the moment for the last, I don't know, 8 to 10 days, and I'll be working in a night shift for the remaining 25 days of the ICU. So if you're on a night shift, your breakfast arrives early morning. So if you don't have the time to eat it in the ICU, you take it back home. That's what I've did. And so that's what I've done. I've got my breakfast. जो मैं खाना भूल गया था, by the way. All right. Very special thing next is a BP apparatus. Yes, as medicine residents, BP apparatus is everything. You know, a patient could be in shock, a patient could be in hypertensive emergency, a patient could be in hypertensive urgency, or he may be normotensive. Everything is decided by this BP app. So the classic look of me in the ICU is this. Me wearing my own scrubs with a stethoscope around my neck with my pulse ox, with my RBS strips, some ketone strips, and a BP app also hanging around my neck. Almost everybody has their own BP app in an ICU setting because you need to take blood pressures of many, many people. And I think I take nearly like 100, easily close to 100 BP readings in a sitting. And I could say in an ICU night, like a normal ICU night of 16 hours, I take at least 100 BP readings. So yes, 22 patients हमारे side पे है. 3 times I take their BP normally, and sometimes more if it's needed, like a person is in shock or in a case of hypertensive emergencies. So having your own BP app is kind of crazy. I have marked it with a Dynaplast so that it does not get stolen. I've been using a cheap one which I bought from Amazon for around 1,000 rupees. So this is kind of good. This is the first thing that came out of this bag. Okay, moving on. The next thing is this small bag within my bag. So it's a bag in a bag. It's like a nucleolus in a nucleus. So this is a drug kit. I'll tell you exactly what a drug kit is. You can see it has also got my name engraved on it. So I work in a government medical college, and even though our setup at GMC Nagpur has a lot of essential and vital drugs available, in an emergency situation, sometimes if a drug is unavailable, you need to administer it to a patient who is having some sort of emergency. You cannot wait for the relatives to go and buy the drug from the outside pharmacy and get it delivered to you, because the patient will crash, the patient will die, or patient will suffer some irreversible damage during that time. I'll just give you a simple example. Let's say that you are in a casualty and you take a BP reading of a person who has been having a headache since the morning, and the BP reading comes out to be 250 by 150. The patient is in a state of hypertensive emergency. You need to absolutely administer some sort of intravenous fast-acting antihypertensive drug. What is the preferred drug of choice? In usual cases, it would be labetalol. And if labetalol is unavailable, it would be an NTG infusion. If given orally, you could take tablet Nicardia retard. But for the time being, we need to act fast, because if we don't, it could lead to permanent damage in a lot of vital organs. Like you could have a stroke, you could have some sort of acute kidney injury, you could have a heart attack, you could have acute pulmonary edema. So all of these things can happen just because you have very high blood pressure. You need to absolutely administer labetalol to that patient. But labetalol is not available. So what do? You can't wait. So therefore, we have a kit of drugs available with us. With every resident has got this kit. And it contains all the basic emergency life-saving drugs which are sometimes not available. And whenever these are available, we do tend to fill up our emergency kit with them. So it has everything. So a few life-saving drugs to name. The least is adrenaline, atropine. You've got labetalol, you've got NTG, you've got diltiazem, you've got metexel, which is metoprolol, then you've got adenosine, you've got nitroglycerin. You've got Nicardia, you've got Respules of nebulization for the people who have got some acute attack of asthma, you've got Avil, you've got Hydrocort. All of these are some basic drugs which I carry around in my drug kit. So my drug kit is pretty simple. You can open it up and it has all the drugs inside, if you can see. So this one, this is adenosine, which is used in supraventricular tachycardia. This is labetalol. Here we have injections. So this is metexel, which is metoprolol. And then we've got adrenaline, atropine, all of these life-saving drugs which are very essential in an emergency setting. And sometimes when time is not right and the drugs are unavailable and the patients are crashing, you might run out of your drug kit with essential drugs in a single night. So this is a drug kit. I highly suggest any one of you guys who is really working in a critical setting to make one of this, because this will save a life and you will be happy about it. Trust me when I say this. One of my patients had a tachycardia of 215. Just after giving them one metoprolol injection, their tachycardia had settled to 120. So that means that's the difference between saving a life and waiting for the patient to get bad before the drug is administered. So yes, emergency hoti hai, and medicine is full of emergencies. That's why I love it. So yeah, that was in short what my drug kit is. Thanks to my seniors for recommending me and all the residents to make one. The next thing from my bag is a packet of some food. So sneakers, बहुत tasty होती है, काफी energy होती है, and as a resident, you're constantly in need of energy. So yes, sneakers. And then we've got a water bottle, which is pretty cool. And then we've got another chota bag. And this is the same bag which I used when I was solo traveling in Europe, which is again pretty crazy because this bag has seen the beautiful August of 22 and September of 22, and also has seen the worst days of residency in 2025. Cheers to this bag for supporting me since a long time. Cheers to you guys for supporting for a long time. And thank you so much for watching. Abhi video khatam nahi hua, but I'm just saying. Posteriorly, we've got some basic things like intracath, which is an IV access point. We've got a notepad in case we need to write down something in the rounds, and also provide prescriptions to people who are just meeting us for the first time, and some basic stuff like sticking and cotton. Essentially, this is a small kit which I carry around with me during the ward times so that I have everything with me if I need to administer something. Another compartment of this GoPro bag has backup stuff. So we got ketone strips. A lot of people come to us in ketosis, especially starvation ketosis, diabetic ketosis. So ketone strips basically urine strips होती है जो आप urine डाल के देख सकते हो if you have any ketones positive or glucose positive. Similar strips for protein are also available. I've got a few lumbar puncture needles. As a first year resident, every day, almost every day, we have to do some lumbar puncture in a person suspected to have some sort of meningoencephalitis, meningitis, some GBS or something like that. So LP needles I always have with me, because in the casualty you need to do it, sometimes in the ward, and every day in the ICU. Literally every single day you have an LP needle that is being used. So it's great exposure at GMC. Then the next thing we've got is some ESR bulbs. So these are useful for checking the ESR of the patient, which is the erythrocyte sedimentation rate, which goes up in chronic diseases. Some eye drops for dilating the patient in order to see their fundus. Lignocaine, which is very, very essential if you are doing any sort of procedure like a Foley's insertion, Ryle's insertion, PR examination, everything. Lignocaine is very essential. Again, some useful drugs. This is amiodarone, which is very useful when tachycardia is not being controlled by any other drug. 150 mg stat. So this is great. Again, some very essential drug. This is midazolam, which is a sedative drug, which is very useful for calming down patients and also useful during intubation. This is labetalol, which is useful during hypertensive emergencies. This is noradrenaline in case your BP falls. So yes, this bag is sort of an emergency kit on me at all times when I am in the casualty or when I'm in the ward dealing with some acute emergency. This is great. So 2 bags from my own bag, which is kind of cool. I've got a third choti bag also, which used to have protein strips, but they have all been exhausted. And now it has just got a backup stethoscope in case my main one is lost. I hope that never happens, but ek hai stethoscope in case you need. Okay, moving on to the front chain, I've got some personal stuff. First thing is first a deodorant. पता नहीं तुम्हें कितने दिन बिना नहाए गुजारने residency में. So having a cool deodorant makes you smell nice whenever you're meeting other people, even though you haven't showered for 3 days straight. Oh look, I found my protein strips. Turns out they aren't exhausted after all. We do have some then. Next, I've got a face wash for times when I need it, a few pens, and then 2 other tools for clinical examination, that is the hammer and the torch. This is a very, very fancy torch which I bought, and now I just show it off to everybody. My friend Aditi, who is an ophthalmologist, was really impressed by it because she said it is really nice. This cost me 200 rupees. The examination hammer hai, which is pretty cool, very nice. By the way, learning clinical examination is a very fun thing to do, which you can do on mastering clinicals in case you're weak with your practicals, right from first year all the way to final year. Every single aspect from general examination to systemic examination for all the major 4 systems, with the explanation and the pathophysiologies associated with different diseases and the clinical findings demonstrated on a real patient by a real doctor exclusively for you. You can find it online. Mastering Clinicals is my masterclass on exactly the best way to learn clinical examination and during the Viva time, when an examiner is asking you questions, and what are those questions and how do you get them right. So if you are new here, go check out Mastering Clinicals. Every MBBS student should have watched Mastering Clinicals if they want to be doing well in their practical skills. That's just a small piece of advice that I got to remember because this is the hammer. Lastly, I've got some cash in there which I infrequently use sometimes. Yeah, एक बार cash, the only single time which I've used cash during the last 4.5 months. I can't even believe I'm saying that. यार 4.5 महीने में मैंने एक बार ही सिर्फ cash use किया. Otherwise, I've been paying with UPI all throughout. And that was when I was stuck in super specialty hospital and I needed to get back to medical, which is GMC Nagpur, and the auto wala over there did not have a QR code. So 10 रुपए लगते हैं usually medical और super जाने के लिए, पर उस समय the lowest bill which I had was 50 rupees और मैंने उसे दे दिया और वो चले गया. मुझे मेरे चिल्लर भी वापस नहीं मिले और 40 रुपए चले गए. And that was the only time which I used cash, which is pretty interesting to know. यार कुछ time ही नहीं मिलता residency में करने का. You have a lot of things to do, but the only thing that you can do is work and then sleep and then work and then sleep. That's how the cycle goes. God only knows how I'm finding time to make this video. In the front chain, another hammer because why not? And I've got my stapler and stapler pins. Everyday use होता है GMC में stapler का. They are a very stapler based life form at GMC. And a few of these drugs which I rarely use on myself. These are some painkillers and some acidity pills. I think the last मैंने 2-3 गोली खाई है total. गोली खाने का time ही नहीं है ना यार, क्या करेंगे. Lastly, in the back section, I have a folder with everything which is required as documents. So you are required to have some patho forms, some radiology requisition forms, some blood requisition forms. So I'll show you one cool thing. This is a patho form which looks like this in GMC. Okay, so this is the pathology form which we have. You can see all the different investigations that we do on a routine basis. So LFT है, KFT है, electrolytes है, amylase, lipase, protein, sugar, TLC, DLC, सब कुछ है, CSF. So yes, this is a pathology form. I've got tons of these because we use it on a day-to-day basis. ये hospital तुमको free में देता है, तो तुमको कुछ tension नहीं है इसका. I've got some consents, some discharge cards. Cool thing, this is what a discharge card of GMC Nagpur looks like. This is what our discharge card looks like. It's pretty old. But to fill it up and see your patient go back home is a very fun thing in itself. We've got some printed consents. When I was working in a kidney unit, dialyzing patients every day, you have to take the consent before you dialyze them. So yes, this is a grand folder. Everybody has it. Every resident has this. Next, I've always got my ECG book with me. I have been reading this before I joined residency. I'm almost halfway through it. It's a really great book if you are wanting to learn ECG from the scratch. It's this one, Balthazar करके book है, बढ़िया है. Last but not least, I've got a power bank and a few cables. So yeah, that was in short what was in my bag, and I've made a complete mess of my room. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to like the video. यार तुम अच्छा लगता है वीडियो, तुम like ही नहीं करते हो, ये क्या बात हुई यार? चलो like करो और subscribe भी करना. And if you're new here, make sure that you come back again next week to watch another video of me. Probably while you're having food. Okay guys, it's your friendly neighborhood resident, and I'll see you in the next one. Make sure to check out Mastering Clinicals from the link in the description. Thank you so much and goodbye.